to see we wanted to see bowler against crossbow yesterday, and I think we're gonna see exactly why I feel bowler is so great against it in this matchup. So.
Both of them start pretty cautiously. Ooh, the bowler. Oh no, what's bowler doing behind the king tower?
Ooh,
good thing the giant came down to soak that in.
Just in time.
Yeah, could have been a terrible situation. Mega Minion versus Mega Minion. Nice. Wow, Erick's Mega Minion actually wins out against that. Lightning gets played for.
Giant bowler Mega Minion takes a lightning. Giant bowler still standing.
Yep, giant bowler still standing, and the bowler is going to convert to at least one bowler on that tower unless Rubens plays. Two. I'm so good at this. Oh my gosh.
Bowler's just having fun out there every time. Just whee! No one's having more fun in the Clash Royale arena than Bowler. But again, actually, this is a weird play to me by Erick. You'd think that he'd want to save the bowler for the Expo, but it's possible that he's playing it only when he has Giant in hand, and he's really playing the bowler behind the King Tower to bait the Expo out so he can then drop Giant.
I think you identified it exactly right. Mega Minion played, and this is a good example of gaining air superiority, right? Make sure that you play your Mega Minion in a way that it's protected from the opponent's Mega Minion, and so you can convert your own drop to something further.
I think Trainer Rubens is going into a plan B, and here's my guess at what the plan B is. The plan B is get an Expo in the middle of the field, defend against a giant bowler push, and as soon as it goes down, if your Expo is still alive, play a second Expo at the river with the one in the center defending the freshly placed one.
Interesting that Bowler let one of the Fire Spirits jump, and that actually evens up the match a little closer than I think Erick would like. But now he has to face the giant Bowler push coming down much closer to his river than I think Trainer Rubens is comfortable with. That Bowler is actually cleaving onto the tower in the back. Big damage done by Trainer Rubens already, and a big lightning coming out. And those Fire Spirits get taken down. This Bowler is going to have a ton of fun.
Yeah, I actually, even though the tower damage was very even before that push, I don't think the game was that close, because once your opponent shows you Giant and Bowler, your Expo is significantly less effective. I don't see how Trainer Rubens can actually set up an Expo that's going to be effective, so this might be death by 1,000 boulders.
No, that was interesting. I wonder why. So if you guys missed it, Erick actually played Lightning, but he missed the tower on the left side, and I think he definitely could have gotten that based on where the crossbow was positioned.
Was it possible that there were 3 higher health units nearby?
Possible.
Right, so
that tower is pretty low
Expo,
health.
There's, Mega Minion has about 700 health. It's possible that
hopefully we can see that moment again.
That was definitely an accident, because that 100% should have died. That tower should have gone down right then. He might have been off by 1 square. So he's just got to get back to Lightning. And normally that could be a fatal game-losing mistake, but Erick is in such control of this game. The matchup is so bad for Rubens with the Giant Bowler versus Expo. The nice part for Trainer Rubens, at least, is that this Giant Bowler deck that's about to win is off the board. You can't play it for the remainder of the match. So Rubens gets to Expo against whatever Erick's second deck is.
And now I think you can see why we were so surprised that yesterday we didn't see Giant Bowler as a deck.
Look how effective it is. I mean, that was like when Rainey plays Christian. Like, that's how dominant that game was there. That was pretty gross. But it was all just because, and that's not because Trainer Rubens is a bad player, but because matchups can matter a lot. And sometimes I pull up my 8 cards, you pull up your 8 cards, and I'm going 4 out of 5 times I'm losing this game, right? Sure. And that was that situation.
Okay, so if a bowler bowls and then he dies, does his boulder still make it to the tower?
Yeah, once it's out of his hands,
then
it's on its own.
It's like its own thing.
We have seen some really close games right in Super Magical Cup where a bowler gets killed and that last drifting rock ends up knocking the tower down and takes it home. So it wasn't a situation there. It didn't need to be that close, but yeah.
One of the things also I see is that a lot of these decks, the players aren't playing their final card. We don't see what the 8th card in their deck is. Is that, Rainey, their flex card, do you think? Is that a card that you just didn't find useful to use, or why wouldn't you use all 8?
I think it really depends on the situation. In that scenario, I feel like the game was so... I don't know if there were many more things that could have happened in terms of interactions in that match. Unless the decks were wildly different, I think that they kind of played out how it would be.
All right, well, into the next game. Erick up 1-0 against Rubens. If Erick takes this, he's going to the finals.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about using all 8 of your card slots in decks last Coronation Day.
It's So that was
This hurts.
So what happened right there was, right off the bat, Erick wanted to start with his Expo because he thought, well, maybe if he doesn't have an answer to Expo in his opening hand, this will be really effective. Now, Trainer Rubens did have an Inferno Tower, but the double Ice Spirit that froze each side of the field allowed the guards to get down, and then when they came out of the freeze, the Inferno Tower started attacking the guards instead of the Expo.
Did not want to take infinity damage.
No, not at all. Although, to Trainer Rubens' credit, he did a decent amount of damage to both towers. He did more total damage, really, but it split up across the two towers.
Erick is going to look to buy back his way into this game. He's going to play the Ice Spirit. Interestingly enough, probably played that to pass a turn. I would not imagine why you would want to use your Ice Spirit on an Inferno Tower just randomly in the middle of nowhere.
Probably just a cycle, get out of his hand.
Yeah.
Maybe the next card that was coming up, he knew he wanted to have in his hand to get it down. I like Erick, though. I think Erick is also setting up for the same situation, the Expo to defend the second Expo. I mean, it sounds weird because it seems like that's a really intricate, long-form strategy, but when you know that it's not going to be easy just to play an Expo by the river, you have to go to your plan B. And I think plan B in this case is, whoa, look at that! Or just shoot the princess from across the board.
Oh, man, and that was actually really interesting. The Ice Golem exploded on the Mega Minion on Trainer Rubens' side, and that allowed the Mega Minion on Erick's side to actually win that duel.
The Expo did not need, actually, he didn't need to fireball that tower at all. He could have just let the Expo shoot it, but I don't think he realized the long range of that Expo. And here we go. We see why they would set up. That Inferno Tower, but by the time it started attacking, was already at half health, almost solely to the middle Expo, keeping it away.
Leapfrog has to play the Mega Minion soon enough, and I think they're going to trade because of the projectile speed. Oh, no! Actually, I think it was an Ice Spirit down there for Erick. Won out that exchange again. And
Expo's going to turn around.
Air superiority for Erick is really coming in big for him.
Absolutely. But Rubens is able to get in some damage here, even though might be a little worried here about that Expo on the right side. I think he feels comfortable that he can use a rotation of Miner and spells to take down that left tower and at least push it into overtime.
I'm actually super interested in the fact that Erick did not choose to use the log on the Skeleton Army in that situation. I feel like he probably could have gotten a lot of damage if he just chose to do that, while Trainer Rubens had to commit Elixir on the left side to trade towers.
Well, now he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. That left tower is down. Oh, no.
Lock on.
Oh, and the Miner isn't distracting it. It's just in front.
God.
Oh, no. This looks like a lot of health.
This is a classic.
That's it.
That's it.
The fireball, if nothing else.
There it is.
And Erick takes the game.
Classic Expo win.
Yeah.
Perfect. The line of play was absolutely accurate to what Erick needed to do.
Yeah, Erick wins with his Expo deck, wins with his Giant Bowler deck. He 2-0s in the semifinals. That's a pretty strong statement going into the finals.
Yes.
Rubens, who was so good against Darth Jar Jar, really felt like he was not in that match in a lot of ways. I mean, that first game was really bad. The second game was closer, but Erick had no trouble setting up Expos and getting them locked onto the towers. It was not that sort of struggle that we saw in a lot of Expo decks yesterday.
Well, congrats.
Yeah, congratulations there. We have our first one, Erick, going in. Let's take a look at our first replay. We have a Giant, a Lightning, and Randy, you said this is why this is such a great combo. Let's take a look at it again.
This is why Giant Lightning is such a great combo. Right, her. Actually, is this the one where he misses? Pay close attention.
Oh.
Nope.
Oh.
It's here. Yeah, that's not. So effective. Giant Lightning is actually so effective. Even though the Giant's down, the bowler is actually so healthy. He's at 25% health, but he gets at least 1 or 2 rolls left. You have to play guards to eliminate the bowler off the field because you know he's going to get a lot more damage if you don't.
And we've mentioned a few times that if you know the game is going to go into overtime, setting up to be at an advantage once the game goes into overtime. And that's what we're seeing here in this. That Expo was set up. Erick didn't really try to defend his left tower because he knew it was going to go down. Instead, he just wanted to make sure that he was so far ahead in the race for the second tower.
Right. Also, Randy, walk me through kind of that situation where you're a tower down. You know that, okay, I've got the spells to be able to finish off my opponent's tower. But now your goal is to do that while your opponent just now gets to start focusing on the other side. Mm-hmm. How do you balance that? How do you make sure that you're not losing too much elixir being on offense?
It's a mind game. You have to stay one step ahead of your opponent, right? Your opponent will be playing the mathematical solution because it favors him, right? He says, okay, I'm going to wait until you have to invest elixir on the weak tower, and then I'm just going to play on the other lane and make sure that, okay, you can have that tower. It's too low for me to defend anyways, but I'm going to make sure that that 4 elixir you are using on the fireball, you sorely miss. So I'm going to play X amount of elixir plus 4 on the other side to punish you for not having that. What you need to do is understand that, okay, down the road, this is a situation that I'm gonna have to deal with if overtime comes to pass, right? So you need to start playing units back behind your king tower so you can
build it up.
So you can kind of fake them out, right? Say like, okay, I'm gonna feign ignorance and play a big push on the left side, and then your opponent might look at that and say like, oh my god, if I let that push go through and try to just call his bluff and play everything on the right side, if that push is big enough, it could maybe do something like 3 crown or threaten something, an additional danger, right? And that's how you need to start thinking about these situations. You may be mathematically down, then you need to start playing against your opponent's fears.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I'm at the point right now where if I see something being threatened to me, I'm like, no, I just feel like a squirrel. You know, it's like, oh, I gotta get this now.
And you shouldn't feel that way. Defending is actually
so,
at a
man.
huge advantage in Clash Royale. You get to see what your opponent plays first,
Yeah.
and then play the best card in your hand that matches up against that with the assistance of a tower. So just let the nerves, and be like these players. Calm,
Yeah.
nerves.
Calm,
No
get
one is
together.
freaking out, I'm sure,
Yeah, these
on
guys
the other
are all
side of their
pros.
phone.
They're not spamming really angry faces at all. These guys are just great.
So, you guys have sent us your haikus.
That's right. We have one
We've
here.
got one.
This one comes from someone we've never heard before, Cranny Torso.
He's just
1, 2,
killing it.
3. Absolutely amazing. Here it goes. It's called Cleanup. Who left this rock here? I'll just incinerate it. Now 2 rocks to clean. Thank you, Crane Torso. Your mind is needed in more than just this. You should get into politics. You should be a teacher. You should start writing amazing. This is gorgeous.
Or just play video games all day.
Or hey, play video
not?
games because it's working out. It's super great. Super
Did
fantastic.
it pass the test? Teacher Arthur was over there
Oh, yeah.
counting out the...
Were you creating images in your mind of what this would look like?
Yeah, there would be 1 rock, and there would be a stick figure with a question mark above his head. Then he would look over, and then there would be 2 rocks, and then he would be sitting on the floor, really sad with a frowning face, maybe a little tear.
I can
See what's
I'm
in there.
picturing
I see
I've
it.
got some interpretive dance, I think that might...
Pablo
do it,
Picasso.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, you just
Okay.
you go...
We've got
There. One
okay.
rock,
You should be a
incinerate, 2
mime.
rocks. I was a mime for many moons.
You are amazing. Someone please take that video and then put music to it, and then we'll just keep that on a nice
My
loop. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the bracket now before we go into our next semifinals event. So we have Rubens falling to Erick. Erick moves on as our first finalist. Up next, Clyde versus Goose. Now, my question actually is going to be for you, Rumham, because we're talking about Clyde being a favorite here coming in. We were talking about him in the pre-show, but Goose seems
Goose.
like he's your man.
Out of nowhere.
Who are you gonna choose from him?
Well, in the world of Pekka's Playhouse, the lava-filled arena where the Lava Hound originates, the people are probably cheering for Goose with his double Lava Hound deck. But me, sitting right here, I'm a Builder's Workshop kind of guy. Give me that golem, and we're gonna take that golem all the way to the finals.
Okay, Rainey, do you support?
I think that between the two, actually, normally I would pick Clyde. Normally I would.